I'm Gaasbeek from Prey Consultants, and I want to take you through the main insights and deliverables for the joint TLMI FINAT project to set up a harmonized LCA sector approach for the labeling industry. And I want to shortly go into why is this project, and then a little bit on why is sustainability more and more important in the label industry and how does LCA fit in. Then I want to go into the three main deliverables, and that's are the state of the art and practice, the case studies, and the harmonized sector approach. So, why the project? We see that there is a growing demand for more sustainable labeling products. More and more members from FINAT-TLMI are getting questions about the sustainability of their products. They start measuring the impact of their products by using LCA, but using different methodologies and tools to do so. So FINAT and TLMI recognize the need to prevent the risk of conflicting messages to customers, but also doing double work for different customers for a joint harmonized sector approach to conduct LCAs. And the goal of the project is therefore also to create a common understanding on what is LCA, how can we use it, and then creating a harmonized approach on how to do so. So the aim of the project is to ensure a level playing field, so the work which has been done is pre-competitive. Customers can trust the quality and the completeness of the document created, and to provide all members of TLMI and FINAT with a basis for LCA, even those who don't have a big sustainability department in place. So the deliverables of the project are the state of the art and the practice, the two case studies and a one-pager, a general LCA guidance document on what is LCA, and the harmonized LCA sector guidance, and then some training. So for you who are interested and have not yet enrolled, tomorrow I will give a training on the document and how to use them. So why LCA? Just shortly, we see that there is a growing scarcity of resources, and at the same time there are growing expectations from stakeholders. Employees are also looking at future employees are also looking at companies, what they're doing before they start working there. Customers are asking more and more questions about sustainable products. And then there's the trend of growing transparency. There's Facebook, there's Twitter. Companies can just not get away with anything anymore. It will be in the news before you know it. And you see that leads to increasing stakeholder pressures for companies. NGOs attacking companies directly on their products, customers requesting labels on their products, the big regulatory bodies such as the EU setting up really ambitious schemes to getting more sustainable products on the market, citizens becoming more concerned about issues within the industry, such as GMOs, but also plastics, competitors trying to distinguish themselves in the market by using sustainability, communities starting to speak out against certain practices of companies, and also suppliers and competitors using sustainability to work together in a pre-competitive way, similar to what you are doing now with this project. So how does this reach the labeling industry? Well, a lot of the self-adhesive labels are used on packaging, and packaging is one of the products which get a lot of interest on sustainability. Even though not all the impact, most of the impacts usually do not come from the packaging, this is still an area a lot of focus is on. Fast-moving and consumer goods industry is very active in reducing their packaging and also making it more sustainable or more recyclable. And also policymakers are really setting up more policies into reducing packaging. So that leads to a growing request on more sustainable labeling products. And then how comes where does LCA come in? Well, LCA is a way to try a tool to help you reduce your environmental impacts. It tries to measure all the impacts through the entire supply chain, so from raw materials till end of life, and it takes into account all the inputs you take from nature and all the emissions you emit to nature. And it can be used in various ways. So to get insight in your carbon footprint emissions, your water emissions, which then companies can use for benchmarking, marketing, product development. There are various ways on how different companies use LCA. So, the first deliverable, state of the art of the practice. We've done a survey under 92 respondents from TLMI and FINAT members to see where they are on sustainability, what they find important, and how do they see LCA. Oh, some of the main insights were that sustainability is an important topic in the labeling industry, especially sustainable forestry management is of growing importance for the labeling industry. And already almost half of all the suppliers almost half of the companies already get requests from suppliers on more sustainable information on their products. Despite that, most of the companies do not use LCA. But the main reason for that is a lack of familiarity with LCA, and more than half of the companies not using LCA do state that they have ambitions to use LCAs. The companies who say they don't have any ambitions to use LCA say that the main reason for that is there are no customer requests to do so. From the companies who are using LCA, the main uses for it are marketing, create transparency on products, transparency on environmental performance, product development, and improve operational performance. So, moving on to the case studies. We have done 2 case studies, one for paper, one for PP, one in the EU and one in the US. And we have tested different variations using scenarios. Just to let you know, we've only done 2 case studies, so the results in the following slides are not representative for the entire label sector, but they give you an idea of where the main impacts are. So, where are the main impacts in the self-adhesive supply chain? Well, you can see that most of the impacts come from the raw materials. So, between 40 to 65% come from the raw materials of the self-adhesive label. Around 2 to 20% comes from the actual label stock production. Then 20 to 40% comes from printer converter, and then very little comes from the actual application of the label or the use of the label and the end of life, the disposal of the label. Another important insight we had during the case studies is on the waste streams. So, for example, if you have a fictive label from around 110 grams, about 3 to 7% there's about 3 to 7% production waste at the label stock manufacturing. So that's 3.3 to 7.7 grams. Then you have at the printer converter, you have around 10 to 50% matrix waste, so that's between 7 to 35 grams. Then you have production waste between 5 and 15% at the printer converter, so that's between 5.5 and 16.5 grams. Then 100% of the liner waste leaves at the brand owner stage. So it's around 40 grams then in this example. So that means that of all the material inputs going into a label, between 40 to 60% goes to waste. And I thought it was an important insight. And it shows the potential for recycling in the self-adhesive label industry. So, zooming into the printer and converter, where are the main sources of impact for them? It's in the label stock materials, and it's in the electricity and heat. So if you're a printer converter and you want to reduce your environmental impacts, where are improvement opportunities? Well, one is to reduce the matrix waste. So by reducing the amount of label stock material you need as an input, by reducing the matrix waste, you can actually significantly reduce the total environmental impact of a self-adhesive label. Another one is to move towards more sustainable energy sources for your printing. So when we're just looking at the printing facility, the actual impact of the printing by moving from regular electricity to solar or wind, you can see that it has a significant impact in reducing the environmental impact of the printing itself. And another one is to start recycling. Here we've made a decision between the two case studies, but if you start recycling the PP matrix and pad liner, then you see again that this has a significant impact on, a significant potential for reducing the environmental impact of the total self-adhesive label. And the same is the case for the paper label. So these insights from the case studies and from the state of the art and state of the practice we use to develop a harmonized sector approach. I think everybody got one from at the start of the conference. It's a guidance, to a common approach for LCA. So what is it? It's a step-by-step guidance to each step of the LCA, because LCA can be quite technical. And it gives recommendations for each step. And we hope, well, we think it makes conducting LCAs easier for the companies who have not yet used LCA that often. It also gives recommendations on data sources. So it gives recommendation on what input flows to take into account. And also, where can you find different data? It gives, for example, proxies on how much energy you need to apply the label at printer converter. So what does it do? It's a basis for a common language on LCA for the self-adhesive industry. It's a first step towards comparable results of LCAs within the self-adhesive industry. And it's a step in for companies who are not yet familiar with LCA. Okay, thank you. That was my presentation.